We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Ronan Farrow profiles RuPaul for The New Yorker, delving into his nightly routine, fears of civil unrest, and candid memoir insights.
Kyrsten Sinema, the controversial Arizona bisexual senator, won't seek re-election, citing a desire for unity. Her departure can reshape the state's political landscape.
Ghana's anti-LGBTQ+ bill sparks domestic and global alarm. The country faces a potential loss of help worth $3.8 billion from the World Bank, the risk of losing a $3 billion IMF loan, and a decline in tourism.
Florida's Stop Woke law gets blocked by Trump-appointed judge for violating free speech. However, DeSantis defends the law, citing workplace environment concerns.
APA doctors' new policy opposes bans on gender-affirming care for transgender youth and emphasizes its psychological and medical necessity.
Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news for Wednesday, March 6, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
HOTspots magazine and Happening Out television network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ nonprofit media companies in America, HOTspots magazine and Happening Out television network.
In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Starting with anchor Maxx Fenning. At 17, he formed the nonprofit PRISM to promote LGBTQ+ inclusive education and make sexual health resources accessible to youth in South Florida. He is a senior at the University of Florida. Okay. Max, you and PRISM will be attending Palm Beach Pride and marching in the parade. Tell me, what's happening?
Thank you. It has been a long time since I've been on the show, and can I just say I'm really, really happy to be back, and also happy to be finishing up college and almost ready to graduate. But yes, we are going to be at Palm Beach Pride on March 23rd and 24th. So excited. This will be, I want to say, our 4th or maybe even 5th year doing Palm Beach Pride. It is such a spectacular event every single time. But we are marching and we are looking for folks to walk in the parade with us. So if you are interested, please go to www.prismfl.org, scroll down to upcoming events, and you can find the link to sign up there.
Lovely. Now, let's welcome Cindy Brown. Cindy was an early organizer of the Miami AIDS Walk and the White Party for Care resource. She's the programs director for the Lambda Living program at Jewish Community Services, and she also served as the executive director of the MDGLCC Foundation. Cindy, Lambda Living, Sage, and Pride Lines are hosting an intergenerational coffee and conversation on March 20th. Tell me, what's happening?
Well, Miami-Dade County now has its own coffee and conversation. It's the third Wednesday of each month, and it's a collaboration between Jewish Community Services Lambda Living program, which I run, Pride Lines Community Center, and SAGE, which is our national organization promoting the well-being and advocating for LGBT seniors. So during this time, older LGBT folks are invited to come over and have a cup of coffee or some orange juice, have a little snack, and generally we will be talking about some issues, some information. Last time we spoke about Medicare and your different options for Medicare enrollment, which I'm going to be doing in a couple of short years. And also things like health and nutrition, navigating some of the resources available to low-income seniors, and we usually have a drawing for a gift card. So if you're interested in learning more about it, you can Google Lambda Living Online and check out our calendar of events, and, join us on March 20th and every third Wednesday of the month from 10 to 12.
And you better make it out.
Oh, yeah. And it's at Pride Lines, which is on Northwest 7th Avenue and 50-something, but more of the information is online.
All righty. Now let's welcome anchor Dr. Tai Houser. He is a professor of English, funny enough, and humanities at Broward College. Fun fact, my grandfather is also a English professor at Broward and is also one of my alma maters. And teaches in the College of Business at Florida Atlantic University. I know nothing about FAU. He has served as a visiting professor at colleges in Bolivia, Brazil, China, India, and Spain, humble brag, and provides an international viewpoint. Tai owns Linden Bridge, an educational experience company. Tai, Broward College hosts this amazing arts, humanities, communication, and design 10-day festival from March 12th to 22nd. Tell me, what's happening?
Well, so every year we have Spring Fest at Broward College. It's a lot of fun. It's sort of a month-long celebration of spring, always around the theme. So this year it is What's in Your Backyard? Exploring Florida through the arts. So events scheduled all through the month. I'm not going to say all of them because there are too many, but definitely check out the calendar. We have an open mic day, a book nick, which is a picnic with a book. Our keynote is Andrew Furman, professor of English at Florida Atlantic University, who has a new book out called Bitten, My Unexpected Love Affair with Florida. We've got the poet laureate of Coconut Creek. If you didn't know that, Coconut Creek has a poet laureate, Laura McDermott. A discussion on fast fashion and how it affects the environment, a performance of The Crucible, and an entire day writing conference on the 24th. So make sure that you go to sites.broward.edu/springfest. That's sites.broward.edu/springfest, and you can see the whole calendar of events, and more information is all there.
Wow, sounds like fun.
Sounds lovely.
It is. Now, of course, we know already that Bonnie Builder is tonight's lead anchor. Bonnie is the self-proclaimed premier South Florida bodybuilding drag queen and the current reigning Mixed Marys, a recent graduate of FIU. Interesting. She's a trainer and comes to life with a microphone and a spotlight. Bonnie, your alma mater and FIU Pride Center are having a free day out in Miami in the Miami Beach Pride Parade on April 14th. Are you going to be there, and what's that all about?
Yes, I will be there in drag. Oh. So basically we have Miami Beach Pride happening on April 14th. That's where the parade is happening. And if you want to be in the parade, if you ever had dreams and aspirations of walking in the sun on asphalt in Miami summer, this is your time. So FIU is inviting alumni, current students, and also people who are just a fan of FIU, as everyone should be, to join the parade. So you can go to FIU Pride Center on Instagram, and you can submit an application, and they will let you on their float, so you can hang out with me, and I'll be out there in the sun in full drag. Doesn't that sound delicious? Of course it does. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for Wednesday, March 6, 2024. Let's queer up drag culture. RuPaul talks about Fortified compound in new interview. Ronan Farrow of The New Yorker penned a new feature on RuPaul, the iconic drag star, on the occasion of his new book, The House of Hidden Meanings, which was released this week. In the interview, RuPaul shared insights into his nightly routine, revealing that he often falls asleep while watching the documentary series Secrets of Great British Castles, reflecting on humanity's tumultuous history. Expressing concern about the state of the world, he voiced fears of an impending civil war, leading him to construct a fortified compound on his husband's 60,000-acre ranch in Wyoming. Yes, RuPaul has built a fortress in Wyoming in case everything goes bad in the world. RuPaul said, quote, and the human ego can justify these terrible things that people do. You know, these kings, Henry VIII and Edward II, and all these people who have just decimated hundreds of thousands of people because their feelings were hurt, end quote. The writer also met RuPaul in Britain, where he was filming RuPaul's Drag Race UK and promoting his memoir. The duo talked about the success of his show and its impact on mainstream culture. However, despite his achievements, RuPaul remains a polarizing figure within the LGBTQ+ community, facing criticism for his views on transgender participation in drag competitions. In his memoir, RuPaul diplomatically discusses encounters with various celebrities, but takes a candid stance on Madonna, describing a tense interaction in the 80s. RuPaul expressed discomfort with Madonna's attempt to maintain youthful relevance, contrasting it with his own evolution and role as a mentor figure. Queer News Tonight could not help but think about RuPaul's thoughts about what we are watching in the world. We're in Florida, after all, living in the shadow of a radical GOP, Governor DeSantis, and former President Donald Trump. His words about his Wyoming fortress may turn out to be a prophetic when he says, quote, "I'm fearing the absolute worst. We are moments away from fucking civil war. All the signs are there. Humans on this planet are in the cycle of destruction. I am plotting a safety net. I wouldn't call it a bunker, but it is designed to withstand calamity. It's a lot of concrete and a lot of things. I keep thinking about these castles that I'm going to bed to." Now, my first immediate reaction to this story is, if RuPaul's rich ass is worried about something, we should be shaking in our fucking boots, our thigh-high fucking boots. Because you always know, the rich people know what's going to go to shit first. And RuPaul is like rich, especially for black folks. She's like rich. So if she's scared, I should be fucking like terrified. She already, first of all, have y'all seen her house on YouTube? Like the tour of her house? It's amazing, but it's already a fortress. So if that's not good enough, then what the fuck is she? Y'all remember the movie 2012 when they had like the space?
I was gonna say this reminds me of like Don't Look Up.
Yes.
And how they the spaceship on that one, and then they.
And you know she has it. She's not talking about it, but she has it. There's a fortress for rich people on the moon.
She got a ticket seat right next to Elon Musk.
Girl.
And Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos and his space tourism.
Who knows what's going to happen after the election in November? And I believe that we are in store for, more civil unrest. And if Trump wins, we're going to have 4 more years of that, and everything possible to dismantle our democratic system while he's in there. So, I'm not RuPaul rich, but I can buy a plane ticket out of this country.
Well, there are a couple of things about this story that have me interested. The first one is it says it's on her husband's ranch. Mm-hmm. What? I'm not sure who has the money there, but okay, that's interesting. The second thing is, my uncle passed away, unfortunately, but he always wanted to build a compound for our family.
Wow.
Of course, we don't have the kind of money it would take to do it, but that was always one of his goals. And then finally, I realized that I have one thing in common with RuPaul. We watch the same kind of programs to go to bed to. I have in the past and will in the future watch that the same Castles documentary to fall asleep.
Wonderful.
Now, I will say this. If it's a race war that she's terrified about, I don't know, yo. I just want to throw that out there. We are not. This ain't never happened. I ain't never worked with y'all or nothing. Go ahead. What you had to say?
No, I just think this is it. There is, however, a level of privilege that comes with being able to build an entire castle.
Totally.
To be like, oh yeah, in case everything, shit hits the fan, I'm just gonna go into my bunker, my maximum security facility.
Girl, I gotta hide in my wig.
Wow. Now let's queer politics. A relief for Democrats as the first out bisexual U.S. senator doesn't run for re-election. Kyrsten Sinema, the first openly bisexual U.S. senator and a former Democrat turned independent, announced she won't seek re-election this year. Sinema, who represents Arizona, faced criticism for her argument with corporate interest and support for the Senate filibuster, which stalls progressive bills. In a video posted on X, Sinema defended her positions, emphasizing a commitment to civility and bridging partisan divides. However, she acknowledged the unpopularity of her her approach amidst growing polarization. Sinema expressed, quote, "I believe in my approach, but it's not what America wants right now," end quote, while announcing a departure from the Senate at the year's end. Her decision averts a three-way race with Ruben Gallego, a current U.S. House member running as a Democrat, and Kari Lake, a likely Republican nominee who previously vied for Arizona governor in 2022. Sinema's political journey began with the Green Party before joining the Democrats, then turning independent. Her coalition, including McCain Republicans, won her the Senate seat in 2018. However, her stance on key issues strained relationships with the Democrats while earning her support from some Republicans. Her departure is seen as a relief to Democratic leaders, avoiding potential damage to Gallego's candidacy. With a slim Senate majority, Democrats are wary of tough re-election battles in other states. Well, you know, Kyrsten Sinema is another example of people running as a Democrat, pretending to be a Democrat, and then acting like a Republican. So it's not a surprise that, you know, she's not getting great support from the Democrats. Not also a surprise that she's getting some support from Republicans. But I'm glad she has decided not to vie for re-election and allow, you know, the people to choose her replacement and not muck up the works by throwing another Democrat or independent in the race, which could split the vote.
It's interesting to me that she started in the Green Party and then kind of progressed. It's not the usual progression of thought from each of those parties. But what it does reinforce, and I don't really know much about her. I don't know much about what she supports or doesn't support. But what this story really says to me is that there's no longer room for nuance or conversation. If she's not able to function as all in on this or all in on this or all in this, and she's trying to balance her way through, then we don't want that. And that's not a good thing. Whether her policies are good or bad, that's just saying that, or whether her ideas are good or bad even, that's just saying that as a nation, we're polar opposites when we come to talking points.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say none of this will matter if we had ranked choice voting, but that's another conversation, I guess.
Yeah, this is a precedent of moments where we really have to define where we stand. If you sort of wade in the water, that's a Negro hymn, sorry. If you sort of wade in the, do y'all know wade in the water?
I do now.
When this race war happens, I don't know, y'all. You can't really wade in the middle anymore. You have to be sort of definitive with your stance. You have to be transparent with what you want from your positions. And if you're not, you will be pressured to leave or be removed. So I'm not too mad at it.
Yeah, and you know, the fact that she has vacillated from one party to another, you know, indicates that there's a little bit of confusion going on in her head, and she needs to sit it out.
That's right.
Well, next, let's queer up the world view. Ghana shudders, then pauses as they may lose billions over LGBTQ hate. Ghana's LGBTQ plus criminalization bill, awaiting President Akufo-Addo's signature, triggers domestic and international concern. The legislation, passing with bipartisan support, proposes prison terms of up to 3 years for LGBTQ plus individuals and 5 years for those backing LGBTQ plus groups. The financial repercussions of passing the law are large. Reports from Ghana's finance ministry suggest that the proposed bill may result in a loss of $3.8 billion in World Bank funding over the next 5 to 6 years. Additionally, it can jeopardize a $3 billion loan package from the International Monetary Fund. The potential fallout could severely impact debt restructuring efforts and the country's long-term financial stability. Ghana faces an estimated loss of $850 million in the current year alone, exacerbating an ongoing economic crisis for which the country requested an IMF bailout last year. The bill also risks alienating foreign investment and tourism, prompting caution from the U.S. State Department. Addressing diplomatic unease, President President Akufo-Addo assures commitment to human rights and awaits a Supreme Court ruling on the matter. However, the upcoming presidential election in December marks the end of Akufo-Addo's two-term presidency, and the Supreme Court is unlikely to issue a decision before the new president is elected. It appears that the LGBTQ plus community in Ghana will have to face sleepless nights for at least a few months more. I just want to say, they say go woke, go broke, but clearly that's not the case here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Actions have consequences.
This is true, but one of my problems with all of this, and I need to be careful how I parse this out, because I think that sanctions like this are in order. Mm-hmm. But what that does then is it opens up the back door, no pun intended, for China to come in, right? Because China is very much interested in supporting developing nations and nations where they can find their foot in the door. And this would be an easy way for China to get in and start to exploit and find influence in Ghana, which is not what we want. So it's that fine balance between, okay, what you're doing is pretty effed up, but at the same time, we have to be careful how we negotiate that discipline and punishment.
That is true. But also, in fairness, some people speak gay, some people speak straight, everybody speaks money. So if you really want to impact these people, you really have to hit them where it hurts, which is their finances. So the fact that they're dealing with this consequence based off of this ruling that they want to have passed through, I am for it. I was so taken aback that this was even being presented, but the fact that they realized, oh, if we fuck with the queers, we're going to be broke, destitute. We're not going to have anything to sort of be discriminatory over, because everything will be gone because we'll be broke and poor. And that will happen to you if you're hateful, just so you know. Uncle Ted. No, right. That was.
And the really unfortunate part of this is Ghana has a lot of extremely poor people living there. And those are the ones that are going to be affected. But I do believe that the IMF and the World Bank need to take a stand on these issues to demonstrate that you can't be a human rights violator and get billion-dollar bailouts because your criminalization of LGBT people are costing you tourism dollars and such. So, yeah. So next, let's queer up courts. A Trump-appointed judge bashes DeSantis' Stop Woke law, citing a violation of the First Amendment. In a significant blow to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' Stop Woke law, a 3-judge panel from the conservative 11th Court of Appeals delivered a decisive ruling halting its enforcement. The law, enacted in 2022 and championed by DeSantis, aimed to regulate discussions in schools and workplaces around topics that could lead to feelings of guilt among white, heterosexual, and cisgender individuals. Specifically, it targeted mentions of white privilege and stated the purpose is no one ever feels psychologically distressed based on their race, color, sex, or national origin. Critics, including the Human Rights Campaign, warned that the law could hinder discussions on issues of racial and LGBT injustice and discrimination. Judge Britt C. Grant, a Trump appointee, bashed the law based on its unconstitutionality. He noted that the law restricted speech based on its content, thereby violating the First Amendment. Florida businesses, including a consultancy specializing in workplace diversity, filed the lawsuit. In response to the ruling, DeSantis spokesperson Jeremy Redfern issued a statement. It expressed disagreement with the court's view that employers should teach employees as a job requirement that one race is morally better than another. The statement also said Florida should retain the right to safeguard its citizens from racially hostile work environments. The process of DeSantis' appeal is not clear as of this broadcast. First of all, no company was ever required to do any kind of diversity training. Companies know it's good for business, so they do it. What's the real tragedy is what part of this law did was inhibit anybody, any place, any organization that receives funding from the state, prohibited them from doing diversity training. And in my work, working with LGBT seniors, that means any LGBT senior that happens to be in a nursing home or any long-term care facility that's run by the state or receives funding from the state will not have the benefit of diversity training for the staff. So consequently, it makes these LGBT seniors unsafe, disrespected, and everything that is against what the state really wants for seniors. It's just not for LGBT seniors. And to say that, sorry, just one more thing.
Yeah.
To say that, teaching real history is going to make white people feel bad. I mean, I'm a white person. I know slavery existed. I think it was horrible. My friends don't blame me for slavery, but I recognize the damage that my ancestors have done. What's the big deal?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah,
It's
him.
history.
It's me.
Yeah.
This is one of several laws, and we talked about them as they were being released, but one of several laws that DeSantis is trying to fix something that isn't broken.
Right.
He's making an issue out of something that isn't an issue, and of course we knew this because he was going to run for president. And this was just, anyone who would have looked at this from the beginning knew that this would have not passed muster with even a conservative court. And so I think it's fantastic that it was a Trump appointee who really struck it down the hardest. But yeah, the rest of this stuff is going to show up in courts and get struck down too.
I want to take our victory lap here, right? Because we have seen this like these culture wars and these bigoted pieces of legislation and all of these attacks against our communities just come crumbling down before our eyes in 2024 with the injunction of the drag law. We've seen gender-affirming care, and then obviously stop woke. All of these things are crumbling. We had another bill that would have that was moving to the legislature this year that would have potentially banned, LGBT nonprofits outright. All of these things for a party that always says they're like pro-business or whatever has been like stripping First Amendment rights from businesses left and right. Yep. And they're finally finding out that this is just not an electable strategy. It's not constitutional, right? And it just backfires and it costs taxpayer dollars to fight these things in court. And it's just not what people want to see. And I think that it's important for us to recognize and take a moment to acknowledge that so many of these things are falling apart. So many of these pushes that they've made this year in the Florida legislature are not passing and are being killed, up in Tallahassee. And in so many ways, we're really starting to see our state ever so slightly come back to normalcy.
They still gain traction. They still gain traction because Trump is the nominee.
That's right. And then people realize how hollow it is, and that's why it goes to shit. So this is basically to say, if you ever stood for any of these like anti-queer, these racist legislations, you're the dumbass, because it's clearly hollow, and we can all see it from the beginning, but it gives you, hateful person, a reason to stand up and really vocalize your hate speech, and then later on to realize, it does get traction, but then it goes to shit because like it's not really standing on, and it's not really based on anything. I think drag queens are groomers based off of
what?
I think white people get uncomfortable when talking about race based off of. I talked about a race war twice at this table, and none of them got nervous.
Of course
they
not.
should be, but none of them got nervous. So it's really hollow, and it all goes to shit as it should because it stands on nothing.
I'm ready to lose it.
Yeah, okay, because you will.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, next, let's queer up health. American Psychological Association stands against bans on gender-affirming care for trans youth. The American Psychological Association has issued a groundbreaking policy resolution opposing bans on gender-affirming care for transgender youth. With 157,000 members, the APA asserts that such bans disregard crucial psychological and medical research. The policy passed with an overwhelming 153-9 vote and underscores the necessity of gender-affirming treatments for transgender individuals. This move represents a significant consensus among leading psychologists in the importance of such care. President Cynthia de las Fuentes emphasizes the importance of the new policy resolution highlighting the positive effects of gender-affirming care on transgender, gender-diverse, and non-binary individuals' well-being. The policy highlights the need for individuals of all ages to have access to comprehensive gender-affirming health care. It also condemns state bans on gender-affirming care, emphasizing that such policies contradict evidence-based healthcare principles, human rights, and social justice. It also denounces misinformation by equating gender dysphoria with trauma or neurodivergence. The policy comes amid claims made targeting such care. Representative Gary Click of Ohio attributed the rise in transgender individuals coming out to autism to justify a ban on care. Similarly, Pamela Paul's recent New York Times piece suggested neurodivergence and OCD could cause gender dysphoria. The APA policy strongly opposes these ideas. And once again, the APA is at the forefront of making these decisions. They were the first to come out against a treatment like what was the gay reversal treatment?
Right.
I forget, yeah, whatever. And it's not just about where to put a comma and where to put a period. It's really about the science of psychology and what the experts believe and know. Good for you.
And I can tell you, I know plenty of people with OCD and, you know, people with autism who have no gender dysphoria at all whatsoever.
Not a one.
And I know some transgender people who are not OCD, nor do they have autism.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a ridiculous, you know, statement made by people who don't know.
The point is, the reason that you're seeing more people coming out is because they're no longer afraid of your bullshit.
Right, exactly.
So instead of hiding from whatever it is you're trying to oppress, people are standing up and saying, no, I'm going to be me, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, if it's hollow, it will crumble, like I stated on the previous story. If the ban is hollow, if it's based off of nothing, if it's based off of ignorance, it will crumble before your very eyes, and you will get humbled. It will take us a while, and it will be scary in the process, but it will crumble, and you will be humbled by this.
And again, to that point, our gender-affirming care ban for minors and the one that restricted, Medicare and Medicaid coverage for gender-affirming care, both enjoined in the courts, right? Like we are seeing before our very eyes all of these things crumble down because they're just not based in reality. They're, all of these things about gender-affirming care or transgenderism being a moral contagion and all of these other things are just not true.
Nope.
And I think it's so important that we're able to see this firm stance from the APA, that we're able to see, folks that are espousing these ideas backed by science, and really showing what the facts are.
That's correct.
Yep.
Well, next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International service at 10:30 a.m.
We finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 minute news.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up religion. Parasol patrol to counter Westboro Baptist Church's bigotry in Oklahoma. In Owasso, Oklahoma, Parasol Patrol, a nonprofit safeguarding kids from hateful protesters, gears up to protect against Westboro Baptist Church bigotry demonstrations. Tensions rise after the tragic death of Nex Benedict, a transgender indigenous student at Owasso High School. Human Rights Campaign warns of potential hostility as Westboro Baptist Church and local antagonists plan to protest at the school. Pasha Ripley, co-founder of Parasol Patrol, has emphasized facing bigotry demonstrations head-on. Parasol Patrol is training volunteers and hosting town halls to ensure everyone's safety. The nonprofit is receiving an overwhelming response from the community against the bigotry of the church.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up outreach. An evening with Levi Kreis at Sunshine Cathedral Center for Performing Arts on March 16th. The Tony-winning singer-songwriter Levi Kreis, famed for his role as Jerry Lee Lewis in $1 Million Quartet, will bring his incredible vocals and piano skills to the stage of Sunshine Cathedral Center for Performing Arts on March 16th. Kreis infuses classic musical tunes with his unique blend of jazz, gospel, country, and rock, accompanied by engaging storytelling and humor. Don't miss this unforgettable evening. Sunshine Cathedral Center for the Performing Arts is America's leading LGBTQ plus live entertainment series. Tickets begin at $30. For further information, visit sunshinecathedral.org.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up students and youth culture. Students want Supreme Court to remove the university's drag ban in Texas. LGBTQ plus students at West Texas A&M University are seeking Supreme Court intervention to reinstate their charity drag performance on March 22nd. Last year, University President Walter Wendler banned on-campus drag shows, likening them to misogynistic blackface. The students argue that this action violates their freedom of speech. In a letter to the court, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, representing Spectrum West Texas A&M University, a student-led LGBTQ plus group, emphasized the need to prevent ongoing violations of First Amendment rights, including prior restraint and viewpoint-based censorship. Students now await the court's decision, hoping for a resolution that upholds their rights and allows them to express themselves freely on campus.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Wilton Manors lights up with HOTspots Art Walk on March 16th. Join the vibrant community of Wilton Manors for an evening of exploration and artistic immersion at Art Walk Wilton Manors on Saturday, March 16th. Taking place along Wilton Drive, this event promises an exciting opportunity to stroll through captivating artworks and engage with talented local artists and craftspeople. You can also shop and dine at the Art Walk Wilton Manors. It's a recurring event from October 2023 to June 2024. Donations are appreciated as they support the continued success of this HOTspots nonprofit initiative. Don't miss out on this unforgettable evening of art and entertainment.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of HOTspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your stunningly gorgeous anchor, Bonnie Builder, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Maxx Fenning, Cindy Brown, and Dr. Tai Houser, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. But before we go, we have one more important story. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Queer News Tonight talks with Miriam Richer of Harvey Milk Foundation about diversity honors. Tonight, we bring you a special interview with Miriam Richer representing the Harvey Milk Foundation. Queer News Tonight anchor Eric Restivo talks about diversity honors March 9th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and why LGBTQ plus activism is even more important today than it was when Harvey Milk became the first elected LGBTQ plus official in America.
The Harvey Milk Foundation is one of the world's leading civil rights organizations on behalf of the LGBTQ+ community. Along with Pride Center at Equality Park, they will host diversity honors at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel on March 9th. This incredible dinner gala will present the Harvey Milk Medal to Billy Porter, Belinda Carlisle, and Spencer Battiest. Local champion awards will also be presented to my new gal pal, Tatiana Williams, the executive director of Trans Inclusive and the Gay Man's Chorus of South Florida. General counsel and even newer gal pal, director Miriam Richter, is here to talk about this exciting event and the importance of the diversity honors. Miriam, I already feel like we are besties. Welcome to the roundtable. We've scheduled our second interview without even starting this one. And I'm a huge fan of your pin, so thank you for sporting it during this interview.
Oh, my pleasure.
The Harvey Milk Foundation. Tell me about it as if I am someone who knows nothing about it and you are just spreading a little bit more education to an audience that might not know what we're talking about right now.
Okay. Well, the Harvey Milk Foundation was founded by Stuart Milk, Harvey's nephew, who is himself an out and proud gay man.
Amen.
And we are a bit unique in the LGBTQ space of foundations and groups because we go where nobody else goes. And unfortunately, there are quite a few places in this world that are not as progressive as the U.S.
Especially here in South Florida as well.
We're seeing it here in Florida, how things can revert, and that is really quite sad. But unfortunately, there are places where they can't revert because they haven't made any progress yet. We generally will support boots on the ground, struggling, minority, marginalized, and minimalized communities. We do a lot of work in Eastern Europe. We do a lot of backdoor channels type of work because we can't even be open about where we're working. It would be too dangerous.
Which is crazy because Harvey Milk couldn't be open about anything in his time, and was, you know, we know how the story ends, but it's ironic that you're still facing, you know, issues and complications like that. So it leads me to ask you the legacy of Harvey Milk and the education that you guys are continuing to spread. What does that mean to you?
Everything.
Yeah.
It means everything, because I believe in a world where every single person should be free to be authentic and live their lives authentically without fear of hate or prejudice or bias or discrimination or any of those horrible things that we know still go on constantly all over. So to be part of it at such a raw level is very, very fulfilling, very fulfilling. And I'm fortunate to be able to do it.
If you could, this question wasn't scripted, I'm just asking you, but if you could maybe give a few words or a few sentences of advice to maybe an underprivileged human who, I say underprivileged in the sense of they have no outlet to safety maybe for themselves and they're living in fear to live their best life, right? Maybe even under the same roof as their parents who don't support them. What advice just from Miriam's heart would you give?
Well, Harvey's most famous line is, you have to give them hope. And so we want people in those really tough situations to know there is hope. There's hope, and we see you even if the world can't see you yet. And we are working as hard as we can, diplomatically and at very high levels, to have conversations with people who can actually make those changes. One of the things that we've done in the recent few years is we've been working through the UN, having discussions with some of the leaders and diplomats from some of those countries, the 69 of them, I believe, is the current count, where it is still illegal to be gay.
It's a big
illegal.
number.
I mean, forget about being out.
No, like walking on the street, you know, you got to fear for your life. Right. Right.
And some of those countries are receptive to backdoor meetings, to discuss these things. Some of those laws are on the books from a long time ago. unfortunately, there are some countries where they're still very much enforced.
Yeah.
And even punishable by death in several countries that is still enforced. So we are trying to make changes like that. We presented at the Munich Security Conference, which is a global conference of world leaders in Munich every February. And we were the first LGBTQ organization ever invited and allowed to speak.
That's major. That's major.
Yes. Wow. And let me tell you, there were some diplomats there from some of those 69 countries.
Yeah.
We're reaching them. We're trying. So my advice, just have hope, stay strong, and
it's easier said than done, but I was going to say, I applaud you, and I'm just a little old gay boy, but I really do applaud you for all the work that you all do over there. And I know that it will not stop, but I know that it's going in the right direction. Milk's nephew, Stuart Milk, is the executive director.
He is.
Tell me about the importance of having a person with that last name, Milk, leading the organization.
Stuart gets upset when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Say it anyway. Love you, Stuart.
Some people say that he's carrying on Harvey's legacy. And while that's absolutely true, he also is Harvey's legacy.
Right.
They're cut from the same cloth.
Right.
There is no question that they are related.
Absolutely.
If you listen to Harvey's speeches and read some of his writings, Stuart's got those same genes.
I believe it.
And it's very powerful. And it's interesting that outside of the U.S., the name Harvey Milk resonates so much more than it does here in the U.S. I meet lots of young LGBTQ people, and they haven't heard of Harvey.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me, especially with so many different documentaries, films, TV series. It's wild. It's
Two
it's
Academy
wild.
Award-winning films.
Right. It's wild, and it's part of the problem. It's part of the problem. So again, we use this platform here to spread things exactly like that, to bring awareness where we need to and fill in the blanks for, maybe there are major organizations or people or a general audience that just don't even appreciate the LGBTQ plus community for anything just because of systematic hate that's just built into them already. So the Harvey Milk Foundation, to me, can speak to that audience because they can relate on a sense of, oh, I've seen it on my television. Oh, it's been up for Academy Award. Sometimes you got to just bring the horse to water. Is that the saying?
Yes.
Right. Straight white men are the toughest horse to bring to water sometimes. And they are the biggest crowd of hate, a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So
Education Awareness
is the answer.
And so that's a great segue right into diversity.
I was going to say on March 9th, they are presenting, it's presenting sponsors the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Tell me about that relationship right there.
Well, in my other life, as an attorney,
yes.
I have 2 full-time jobs.
Yes, I found
although
this out.
I'm volunteer with the foundation. The Seminole Tribe of Florida is one of my clients.
It all comes back together.
Stuart Milk, being Stuart Milk, said to me, we need to ask them to help us.
Oh. Did he come up with like a proposal, or was it just...
He's like, we need to have a gala. Mm-hmm. Let's do it. So to make a long story short,
sure.
We approached the tribe, and
yes, right.
They
whatever you want
on board, and then we brought in the Pride Center because we are a global organization. We don't have that many of our boots. Well, we have lots of boots. They're not here in South Florida.
I get it.
I live here. Stuart lives here. One of our other directors lives here. So we kind of feel like we are a South Florida organization, but our volunteers are all over
everywhere.
So the Pride Center is the perfect partner to help us with boots on the ground. And so that's how the collaboration developed.
It's a perfect hub, the Pride Center.
Exactly.
So what are you most looking forward to at Diversity Honors? What are you most looking forward to?
Meeting Belinda Carlisle.
Oh, okay. outside of the celebrity Rolodex, what are you most looking forward to? Because it is a great Rolodex, by the way. Yeah, it really is.
We did good this year.
Yes.
And Billy Porter, we're not.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yes, chef's kiss.
I want him to wear the dress he wore to the Oscars, but I think Christian Siriano still has it in his.
He probably has it tucked away somewhere in a glass display, never to be touched and seen again. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's on display, but at his studios.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Makes sense. So, Billy, just call him for the night.
Exactly.
See if you can just borrow it. Any speeches, acceptance speeches you're really looking forward to?
Well, one of the things we do is we try to make this not about the speeches.
Got it.
So we try to keep the speeches to a minimum. There will be a few. Because I want to hear what Billy has to say.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what Belinda has to say. She's such an amazing LGBTQ supporter. People don't realize.
Right.
And I want to hear what they have to say. So I'm looking forward to that.
More of a mingle kind of setting where you can have a conversation with everyone. And I hear that Stoli is hosting a very she fabulous, glamorous, right after, with a performance by Debbie Holiday, icon. I've worked with her in West Hollywood and here. Maybe Belinda will come and join you at the after party as well. Is there something fun in addition to the Debbie Holiday performance that you are also looking forward to at that after party?
Well, if you've ever been to the Lagoon at the Guitar Hotel.
I haven't yet. Is that awful?
Well, night is when you really want to be there. And the pool is generally closed at night. It's only special occasions like this that we're going to be out there at the base of the guitar.
With the lights that shine up, right? Okay, I can see them from my backyard.
Exactly.
Okay. And it's just like a night pool party with all these fabulous people. I can't think of anything wrong with it. And also, I could literally talk to you for 5 hours, but I have to let you go because you are a busy lady.
It's a crazy week.
So thank you so much for joining me at Queer News Tonight, Miriam. Diversity Honors is not to be missed. It is an event that you can get more information and tickets at diversityhonors.org. Miriam, we love you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.